6 common beer brands in Australia can quietly wreck your liver, not because they are poisoned, but because their strength and marketing push you past the safe drinking limits before you even realize it. Health guidelines say no more than 10 standard drinks a week and no more than 4 in a single day, but just one full-strength can is already more than one standard drink. And even mid-strength is still a full standard drink. So those cheap 30-packs, low-carbohydrate labels, and so-called session beers can turn a normal weekend into a serious long-term risk for your liver and your health. Let us count down 6 beer brands in Australia you should think twice about before you crack the next one. Number 6, Great Northern Super Crisp, the session beer that adds up fast. If you have been anywhere near Queensland, the Northern Territory or regional Australia in the last few years, you have seen Great Northern Super Crisp everywhere. Fishing trips, footy nights, pub taps, 30 can blocks stacked to the roof. On the surface, it looks like the safe option, mid-strength at 3.5% alcohol by volume, marketed as light, clean and easy drinking. But look at the numbers. A 375 milliliter can of Great Northern Super Crisp is 3.5% alcohol and 1.0 standard drink per can. The Australian Standard Drinks Guide backs this up. 375 milliliters of 3.5% beer equals 1 standard drink. Now cross-check that with the guidelines. No more than 4 standard drinks in a day, no more than 10 in a week. So that cruisy afternoon on the deck, 2 or 3 super crisps before lunch and another 3 or 4 as the afternoon goes on, can easily turn into 6 or 7 standard drinks without you feeling smashed, especially because the flavor is mild and the marketing screams sessionable. The label and ads suggest mid-strength all-day beer for the Australian climate. What that really means is a beer that goes down so easily you can blow through your daily guideline and most of your weekly limit in one sitting without ever touching a full-strength brand. If you have ever told yourself it is only Great Northern, it is fine to keep going. You can see how that story plays out in your liver over years, not days. And if you think mid-strength is harmless, number 5 shows how another Queensland favourite quietly does the same thing. Number 5. 4X Gold, mid-strength by label, full strength by habit. 4X Gold is one of the most iconic beers in Australia. Sun-soaked ads, beach cricket, good as gold. Like Great Northern Super Crisp, it leans hard on that mid-strength identity. 3.5% alcohol, 1 standard drink per 375 milliliter can or bottle. The product pages spell it out. 4X Gold can 375 milliliters, 3.5% alcohol, 1 standard drink. 4X Gold bottle 375 milliliters. Same story. So why is it on this list? Because of how it is sold and used. 4X Gold is not marketed as a one-and-done fancy treat. It is the classic all-day beer, sinking a slab with mates at the campground, knocking back steady schooners at the club because it is only mid-strength. But line that up with the guidelines again. 4 cans of 4X Gold in a night equals 4 standard drinks. You have hit the daily upper limit. Do that 3 nights a week, and you are at 12 drinks, already over the weekly limit of 10 for lower risk. The contrast is brutal. On the surface, mid-strength, responsible choice. Underneath, a beer that makes it psychologically easy to drink more often and for longer, while the standard drinks quietly stack up the same way they do with full strength, just in more cans. If you have ever switched from full strength to 4X Gold and then just had more of them, your liver does not care that the can says mid. It only cares about total alcohol. And if you are thinking, at least I drink healthy beer, I buy the low-carbohydrate stuff. Number 4 is where the marketing spin really starts to fall apart. Number 4, Hahn Super Dry, the low-carbohydrate myth in a bottle. Hahn Super Dry has built an entire brand on 3 words: low-carbohydrate beer. The official site brags that Hahn Super Dry has 70% less carbohydrates than regular beer, just 0.7% carbohydrates per 100 milliliters, and about 2.2 grams of carbohydrates per serve, and says it is an ideal choice as part of a balanced, active lifestyle. Low carbohydrates, sporty imagery, balanced lifestyle. What does that sound like? A health product. But what actually harms your liver is alcohol, not carbohydrates. And the alcohol in Hahn Super Dry is around 4.6% alcohol by volume, which is typical for Australian full-strength lagers. That means a 330 to 375 milliliter bottle, or can land you around 1.3 to 1.4 standard drinks. Very similar to many other full-strength beers. Independent explainers on low-carbohydrate beer point out that beers like Hahn Super Dry use the low-carbohydrate angle to seem healthier, even though the calorie difference is small and the alcohol content is still significant. So what is the problem? When people see 70% less carbohydrates, shots of runners and gym-goers on the site, they often mentally discount the harm and feel better about having more of them. The label suggests clean, low-carbohydrate option for an active lifestyle. The reality is, a normal full-strength beer in terms of alcohol load, wrapped in fitness-style marketing that can trick you into thinking it is a better choice for your body. If you reach for Hahn Super Dry because you think it is protecting your waistline and your health, it is worth asking, are you actually just giving yourself permission to drink more of the same alcohol that stresses your liver? And Hahn is not the only one playing that game. Number 3 is Pure Blonde, the original low-carbohydrate golden child. Number 3, Pure Blonde, the original healthy beer that is not. Pure Blonde, ultra-low-carbohydrate lager, has been pitched for years as the answer for health-conscious drinkers. 80% less carbohydrates than regular beer, and around 50% fewer calories than wine per milliliter, with crisp and light branding and language like perfect for those who want to balance a healthy and social lifestyle. Blog roundups of Australian low-carbohydrate beers list Pure Blonde as a top pick for those trying to cut carbohydrates, with roughly 1.7 grams of carbohydrates per bottle depending on size. But look at what actually matters for your liver. Pure Blonde is typically about 4.2% alcohol, still squarely in full-strength territory. A standard 330 to 375 milliliter serve again lands you near about 1.1 to 1.3 standard drinks, very similar to other lagers. Analyses of low-carbohydrate beers are blunt. The alcohol content of low-carbohydrate beers, like Pure Blonde, is only slightly lower than other full-strength beers, and the real driver of both calories and health risk is still the alcohol. So from your liver's perspective, 3 or 4 Pure Blondes on a night out is 3 or 4 standard drinks, regardless of whether the label mentions carbohydrates. The framing is clever. On the front, ultra-low carbohydrate, better for balance. On the back, if it could talk, I am a normal beer with a slightly tweaked sugar profile. If you drink more of me because you feel virtuous, your total alcohol intake can still push you way over the safe drinking guidelines. If you have ever grabbed Pure Blonde instead of your usual lager and then had 1 or 2 extra because you felt it was healthier, that is the exact pattern that quietly loads more alcohol onto your liver over time. And if you think this is just a mainstream beer problem, number 2 shows how big craft beer can hit your liver even harder in a single can. Number 2. Bolter Hazy, India Pale Ale, and other 6% craft cans, 1.8 standard drinks each. Craft beer has exploded in Australia, and brands like Bolter have become supermarket staples, especially their Hazy and India Pale Ale styles. Take Bolter Hazy India Pale Ale in a 375 milliliter can. Retailers listed at 6% alcohol and 1.8 standard drinks per can. Now line that up with the standard drinks guide. That is like having almost 2 full-strength beers in one can. And remember the guideline. No more than 4 standard drinks in a day. 2 Bolter Hazy cans in a single evening is 3.6 standard drinks. 3 cans is 5.4 standard drinks, already over the daily guideline in one hit. The problem is not just the number, it is the format and the culture. These beers are in the same 375 milliliter can size as your standard lager, packaged with fun, friendly branding that does not scream strong, sold in 4 packs and bigger packs that make just one more feel normal. So your brain treats 1 Bolter Hazy like 1 beer, when in standard drink terms it is closer to nearly 2. The front of the can says 6% hazy, hoppy, fun. The standard drinks line says 1.8 standard drinks treat me more like a double than a single. If you drink craft beer without checking that little standard drinks number, it is frighteningly easy to turn a quiet couple into what your guidelines consider a heavy session. And if 6% sounds big, wait until you see number 1, where 1 single tin by itself almost eats half your entire weekly low-risk allowance. Number 1. Bolter Imperial India Pale Ale and other 8% and higher tall tinnies, the triple shot in a can. At the very top of the list sit the Imperial India Pale Ales and other 8% and higher beers, now sold in tall cans. A clear example is Bolter Imperial India Pale Ale, often called Bolter Wee IPA. Bolter's own write-up is proud of it, about 8.6% alcohol by volume, packaged in a 500 milliliter tall tin, described as strong in alcohol and large in every way. And they even hint that stop at 1 and you are good, and that it is meant to be a standalone salute. Let us translate that into standard drinks. Using the Australian standard drinks formula, a 500 milliliter beer at 8.6% alcohol is roughly 3.4 standard drinks in a single can. Now bring the National Health and Medical Research Council guideline back in. Maximum 4 standard drinks in a day. 1 Bolter Imperial India Pale Ale is about 3.4 out of your 4 daily standard drinks, and over a third of your entire recommended weekly limit of 10 in one hit. 2 cans in a celebration, that is about 6.8 standard drinks, pushing you into the kind of territory the guidelines were specifically designed to help you avoid, with much higher lifetime risk of liver disease, cancers, and injury. Bolter openly acknowledges how big it is. They call it strong in alcohol and big and boozy, and hint that it is meant to be a standalone salute where stopping at 1 is the smart move. The can, though, looks like fun. Bright stripes, craft beer vibe, celebratory copy. To a lot of drinkers, that reads as big treat beer, but still just beer. In reality, in terms of what your liver has to process, it is closer to a can-sized cocktail, like downing 3.5 full-strength stubbies back to back. If you have ever knocked back a couple of these tall tinnies at a barbecue because they were just beers, you can see how quickly that takes you out past the line where guidelines say risk ramps up hard. The real danger is not just the brand, it is how these beers quietly train you to drink past the safe line. Great Northern Super Crisp and XXXX Gold feel like harmless mid-strength, but at 1 standard drink per can, they turn long sessions and cheap slabs into an easy way to smash your daily and weekly limits. Hahn Super Dry and Pure Blonde hide behind low carbohydrate health halos, but they still hit your liver like normal full-strength beer. Bolter Hazy India Pale Ale stuffs almost 2 standard drinks into 1 can, and Bolter Imperial India Pale Ale and other tall tinnies cram more than 3 standard drinks into what looks like a single beer. The pattern is simple. Mid-strength makes it easier to drink more, low carbohydrate makes unhealthy drinking feel healthy, and craft cans pack extra alcohol into a normal-looking tin, while guidelines still say no more than 10 standard drinks a week and 4 in one day if you want to keep risk low. So here is what actually protects you. Read the standard drinks line and set your limit before you start. Swap some of your beers for genuinely lower alcohol options without increasing how many you drink. Treat strong craft cans and tall tinnies like cocktails, one and done. Lock in at least 2 or 3 alcohol-free days every week so your liver can catch up. Beer is not evil, But a few of these brands on repeat can quietly turn into permanent damage. So take this as your warning before your liver has to give you one.